So this will be an extension of the previous video of one hard drive. That's what's in here. That's where I left off. It's been 45 minutes maybe since I had to go and thaw some water out so I could clean the IC chips out. This is the IC chip material. It's about above 200 mesh. It's 5 ounces approximately. It's the larger IC chip material that it just wouldn't go through a coffee grinder. It would go through a blender, but it was just too big stuff, and it's metal pieces you don't want to put through a coffee grinder. I was planning to reverse electroplate it, so I did about a month ago, and I had a couple months ago, and had a lot of sediment, and it just sat for a while and froze, and so I just started it back up, and I've run it for 3 days straight. And you see in the previous video dismantling it, but I haven't cleaned it off yet all the way. It's still the sediment that's light enough to float in the water is what I'm collecting. So there's probably carbon in with it because I couldn't crush it all. So I just got to clean this up. I thawed out some water, hydrogen peroxide. I've used the same over and over, same stuff over and over. I'm not going to get fresh water to clean this up. You just stir it up and kick up the sediment, and then pour it off, and we'll go from there. This is the first pour off, and then I had to thaw out some water. So I'm using a different cell phone, and the quality isn't as good as with this phone. And then there's the the hard drive. That's the sediment from the hard drive. It's the hard drive. And it's less than an hour. See all the sediment on top already. So you see it going. So that's the hard drive, second run for the hard drive, and this is the first run. This hard drive in here is not a glass hard drive. So these are glass. These are the ones I did in a previous video. You see, when they strip, they're transparent. You know. So you gotta finish these up. Yeah, that's just a small stack of them. Just a test stack. But you'll see in a previous video, reverse electroplating 2 hard drive disks. But I was doing 2 of them, and they might have been, one might have been glass, one might have been metal. But if you know anything about these hard drives, then you know they're nearly indestructible. You can heat them with acetylene and they don't do nothing. You can bend them. But you can't deny what you're seeing in this process. With this process of reverse electroplating, no matter what it is, if it can be reverse electroplated, and if that's exactly the right terminology we should be using in the method. It's just, you know, you're just using electrons in a different way. I had to clean off the rest of the IC chips, so I'll clean them off until the water is clear and there's no more sediment. Sediment is still solid. It's still a solid. It's just not big enough of a solid that we consider a solid. This sediment that's in the water is what you can also produce using acids, because that's what the acids do. It just breaks it down. It breaks them up, breaks the metals up. But there are IC chips, you know, there's carbon and silicon, along with I think 9 other different metals that it takes to make IC chips. This is the all the sediment they've recovered from it's 4 pounds, and see these 2 bags here were the only 2 bags that I recovered by reverse electroplating out of the 4 pounds 5 ounces. There's 5 ounces in there, and there's 4 pounds of IC chips in here. This has all been processed by screening, filtering, gravity separation, no chemicals. You see the difference right there. Those are the camera chips. That's the material that came off of them. because I did anything that had a video camera. There's an IC chip in it, and it's got 24 karat gold on wire in it. There is in the regular IC chips, but it's just not visible, and there's not as much of it. Mostly it's plated. The IC chips are plated on other plates of various metals. So I can take this stuff here and help clean it out. So it's all over-the-counter hydrogen peroxide. Don't need to worry about a little dribble. I can use this to clean chips, and I'll add the heavier stuff. Add that to that. In fact, just pour it right in there. All solid. When all solid, nothing, I mean all liquid, no solids. So it's just gonna keep bleeding I'm gonna need a bigger stock pot. I knew that was gonna be, but you know. So I'm gonna need a bigger one. A little bit hazy. I ain't worried about that right now. So you can see right here if you got any solid pieces coming through. Gonna keep bleeding and bleeding. I don't know how much used hydrogen peroxide I'm gonna need until it stops, until the color's clear, until it's like that or clear. This has got a little haze in it from the copper from a previous video. See, it's got a little haze like this from the copper insulation over the wire, and you just put it in with something and it'll collect it. You just have a slight infection of copper into whatever, like that. So I'm going to take this sediment here that I've collected and I'm going to incinerate it again after this. Whatever survives, lighting up, getting lighter. There'll be a couple pieces to get through. That's no problem because I'll collect it after. Put it right back in here. So that's clearing up pretty good. Once I get it cleared up, I'll start shocking it again with some electrons. Run some electrons through it. I was gonna put this one in here, but there's not enough room, so I'll just wait for that to settle down, and then that settle down and we'll add them together. Pretty clean. So that's pretty clean. So just wait for that to settle down. And that one is that much right there. That could be, you know, 4 or 5 grams. I don't know until I dry it out. Could be 10 or 15 grams. Could be an ounce. I don't know. Could be an ounce. I don't know. This was approximately 5 ounces. So we'll weigh it after keep running it until it just doesn't produce any, until it starts producing a different color sediment, or it starts eating this eating the terminal away. That's when you know your material's finished, when it starts eating your material away, or your wire, copper wire. In the last DVD I did, I used, in one test, I used aluminum fence wire as a hot terminal, or the negative, I don't know, but kind of infected the hydrogen peroxide with aluminum, and it just was, it was all fuzzy. It collected, it settled down with it. The aluminum settled down, but now I have a small percentage. I mean, it's hardly even measurable. Not in this, but in a previous video. It has a little bit of aluminum in it. See this right here? This is aluminum. This is how it comes out. Mixed with palladium. So this is a mix of different metals, various metals, but at this point it's a lot easier to further refine than if you had to, you know, refine, you know, you want to refine and have to deal with all this other stuff, and you can break it down into sediment and refine the sediment. Most of the stuff is already, the way it comes off is elemental. It's nearly elemental. There's a little bit of mix of different stuff. See, there's blue, and with the greenish light lime color, that's nickel and copper. maybe silver, but if you don't know exactly what the material is, then you just can't give a correct answer for it. So I'm looking for the copper heat sinks. I mean the nickel. This is a remnants of a cell phone, Apple phones. That's what happens to them. This is in the previous video, 2 videos ago. This is the LG Verizon phone. This is what's left of it. I scraped the board with a putty knife and a hammer. I didn't scrape them off. Those are the bottom of the part of the chip. What it'll do, it's silver solder underneath those chips. And this silver solder is hit and it softens up and the chip breaks off. It'll break away easier. That was the LG phone. That's what's left of it. So I took the chips and I got the chips in a stock pot. And the MLCCs are in a different separate stock pot. And I'll take I took the ribbon stuff and I'll put that something different. See what's left right here? Those are metal. They'll go in with a big batch of pins and connectors. That's what this stuff is. Oh, stuff like that. Little teeny tiny stuff. Like those little metal connectors. And this is a camera chip. See the gold on it still? So I can put that right in here with this. Because that's where everything else is, the IC chips. So this is not camera chips, so these are just plain 4-legged IC chips. And the camera chips I did separately, and that's what that yellowish tint, or goldish, I guess. That stuff right there. A couple ounces. But I could probably reverse electroplate, you know, everything. And I mean, that's what I'm doing now. I'm just going to crush the IC chips. First, soak them in AP. Get rid of the legs. And burn them, incinerate them. Try not to damage them. Leave them as solid as I can. And get it just like this right here. And I'll just reverse electroplate it all at once. And we'll see how it goes with the carbon and the ceramic. Because that's what's in here too. There's got to be carbon and ceramic, because these chips aren't crushed up all the way. And silicon, you can see the silicon chips. So once we dry this out, it can be filtered. The different metals or different weights or sand or whatever. You pan them. You can pan it out. But it can be separated. But it has to be dried out first. So I just going to start that up again. instead of trying to clean it up anymore, because it's really not. It's just a ground wire, just an exposed. It's got to be copper. It must. I was thinking it was a steel wire, but because of the strength of the wire, and the gauge. But I'm pretty sure it's copper. But the more you expose, the more activity it's getting. But just have a floating ground, float the ground, and with the hot wire. So that's still pretty solid, but I'm gonna put a new one on it. Just cut that off. It's got to be long enough to put some pressure down in there onto the material. I just cut that and add it to the copper stock pot. Just gonna curl this around here, turn it up there, and just stuff it down in there. Push all the material to the side, and then put the wire down on the bottom. It's not gonna freeze, so I'm not worried about putting it in a bigger glass. Just run it to the hot wire. Cover it up. It's solid, setting on the bottom, on the material. This will be floating. Just line it up. Make it so you don't have any after movements, so you can leave it unattended. That's good. I'll just let that run for 24 hours and then clean it off again. You gotta make sure it's running. Sometimes you're missing some contact, but it's hard to see. Sometimes you can't see it doing anything. There's a little cloudy water. But if you see the bubbles coming up and you got activity, or there's contact. So I'm not seeing anything. like yours, so there's not contact somewhere. Or there's contact, one or the other. That's pretty loose. Turn the charger back on for a couple minutes just to get this started. So that's solid. Nothing. We got activity, but it's a little bit. You see it moving in there, but I just can't. I can't see. Right there above the wire on the left, you see some bubbles coming up. Yeah, so it's going. Might could get better. You just can't see in there. See? Can't see that going on in there. It's not that much. Not yet. It was. But it probably will increase to get a better connection. So you just might have a half a connection on the terminal. It just somewhere it just might not be what it needs. I'm getting good activity more now. So that should be good. You see it on the right in the middle now, right there where the light is. So it's still moving around in there. So it's colder, it's gonna take longer to settle down. That'll clear right up. Nice and clear. Just like that. Because it's the same water I've been using over for months. So that could be palladium platinum mix. See, the cable's still a little loose. It seems to be. It's alright. It's caught, hooked on something good. Got a good connection. So do another video for this tomorrow after 12 hours of just this right here. I'll clean it out. Well, it's probably the same. It'll be the same. Sometimes changes colors. Hard to tell, you know. But this is producing that sediment. See, all this other stuff is sediment. This is from the LEDs. These 4, and this one is from the LEDs. This is from first run on an Intel chip. This is a coin. It's one coin right here. So it's all rusting up, but that's a coin. That's a coin. It's just this is a copper, and that I don't know what that is. That's silver. Silver and copper mix. As far as I know. I mean, why would you put palladium in that? So they're rusting up, copper rust, because I mean that might be you know, it's got gold dust in it, I'm sure, but it's just a gold wrap over copper, so that's just gold dust probably, and maybe a little copper dust. So here's the DVDs. These are glass. And after they're in here, you know, we'll see. This is a metal, some kind of, you know, maybe palladium and platinum mix over some fiberglass or something. Like this is glass, so the inside of that, some kind of plastic or glass. But so you can't deny, you know, no denying that. These are just glass. So if I put that in warm water, it'll clear up faster. or settle down faster. Can't see how much is in there. Probably not much, just gonna be a little bit, and I'll just put it in there with that. So I'll leave these unattended. For the next 20 hours probably it'll go. Can't see in there. It'll clear up some after a while. I'll come out once in a while and you know, move it around a little bit. Make sure there are no movements. Or the ground wires and hitting anything down in there. Sets out the heat sinks. This is the Intel chip. This is the first run on the contact, the breaker contacts. This is the second run on the breaker contacts. So if I do the first run on anything, or it's the boards, say the boards, first run is orange sediment and it has some blue in it. The second run is blue or lime mix, and the third run usually it stays blue and lime color, greenish. But always the first run is the orange sediment. Like right here, this is it's the first run, but it ran for 2 weeks straight. HP Hewlett Packard laptop. Just sitting there waiting to be dried out. The one in the back is the 3 PCBs. And all the sediment that I collected from 2 or 3 runs, I just put them together into one, just for a test. So the quality with this phone is just not that good. Just test to see if we got movement, activity, lots of activity. So that's good. So when there's more to show, we'll do another video. Lights out.